Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at a bit of a different team for Open Great League. With Dunsparce in the lead, it just picks up so many good leads right now with Noctowl, Alolan, Ninetales and all that. Gliscor is such a good core breaker for all the grass steel cores that I'm seeing right now. And then Lantern to cover the other two's weaknesses. This is not the best team in the world. It does definitely have some core breakers in Chestnut and Swampert specifically. But it's actually pretty good and it's different and kind of fun, especially Dunsparce. Going right into the first game, we lead into a Medicham. Yikes. I say swap Lantern because I don't want to swap in my hard answer. Not that Glasgow really is that hard of an answer. But they stay in against Lantern and go for a pop immediately, indicating that they're probably going to stay in this matchup for quite a while. Because now they're ramped up their attack. So we go for a surf, baiting them because they indicated they wanted to stay in. And then I let this go. They do have the psychic, but I'm calling that they're gonna bait me, which they do. Very nice. Then we go for another surf. And they no shielded. I go up for the Thunderbolt, threatening the KO, but they CMP tie me. Very nice counting by my opponent. They do have some energy still on the Medicham, which is important for later. Do one more counter, then swap in Stunfisk, which is a very good matchup for Gliscor, especially up shields and up energy. I stay in because with Gliscor I only have to throw one move in order to take out the Stunfisk. I don't think it's quite enough from this range. It only does about 80%, but they do decide to shield it, although the animation did make it look like they didn't. And now they're 5 away, so we can just about outpace them to an Earthquake. And with the wing attack damage, this should be enough to take out the Stunfisk. Meaning we don't have to expend our last shield. I'm assuming they're not going to bring in their Medicham here, so I want to swap out immediately into my Dunsparce. And now they bring in Medicham onto Dunsparce and CMP tie me. But because they had all that energy before, they have the Psychic available here. So I actually go for the shield, thinking it's going to be the most hard-hitting move left. It does more damage than Sky Attack. And because they only did one wing attack with Noctowl, we should be able to outpace the Noctowl to 2 Rock Slides before they get to 2 Sky Attacks. Which is very important because Gliscor has a quite bad matchup against Noctowl. If you think that's like an even matchup, check it out. It really is not. It's such a dominant matchup for Noctowl. So it's really nice we get off 2 Rock Slides with Dunsparce. And now we can just roll out it down. They don't even throw the move, although they had it. Next game, we lead into a Noctowl with a hat and a bow tie. Very nice. This is a good matchup for Dunsparce, but most people who run Noctowl in the lead against Dunsparce tend to try and catch a move, so I need to be aware of that. They go for a Sky Attack. We have to go for the Rock Slide immediately. Do. Now they're 1 wing attack away from the Sky Attack. Takes 6/6/5. And they overfarm, and then they go for another Sky Attack. Dunsparce does win all even shields here, so it's okay to shield. And they wait a turn, and then they catch. Very bad by me, but very important detail here. You see, you know they have a Noctowl in the back. I'm just going to ask you a question here. You know they have a Noctowl in the back with a little bit of HP. So you want to save the Lantern for the Noctowl, right? Wrong. Because they have a Noctowl in the lead, and most teams make sense, one thing you should be aware of, Lantern is not going to be good in the back. And because the Noctowl doesn't have that much HP remaining, you don't need to save the Lantern for the Noctowl. So I actually bring my Lantern in here, because this is probably the best matchup it's going to see. They're probably going to have like a Lantern response, like a hard answer, because they were leading Noctowl. So you should often bring in your hard counter to the lead when they're swapping out like this. Because whatever is in the back is probably very good against Lantern. Also, Serve only does about 35% damage, so it wouldn't have been enough there, I don't think. Went for the Thunderbolt. And they bring in a Trevenant, so I was correct. I'm going to be able to get to 2 Thunderbolts if they don't throw, which is actually going to do quite a bit of damage to Trevenant. So they do decide to throw their seed bomb. Then I bring in my Gliscor and go for the catch. Did we just catch a Shadow Ball on Dunsparce? We did! Yes! Very nice. And then they go up to the seed bomb. They just about outpace us, but now they are dry. So can our Gliscor farm down the Trevenant completely? It can. Very nice. Now they bring back in the Noctowl. We go for a Night Slash. And they no shield it. So now we should be able to just shield, farm it all the way down. Very nice. Getting revenge on the catch. Farm it down. Beat them. The next game, we lead into a Shadow Dragonair. Dunsparce does win the Zero Shields here. And I'm pretty much always like not assuming, but thinking it's most likely gonna be Bastion and Medicham in the back. So Gliscor up energy is gonna be quite good in this game, I think. So I'm just gonna take the shield here, as Gliscor up shield and energy, grab the shield and then swap in my Gliscor to get in some energy. They're only gonna get to one move on Gliscor. Of course, we have to shield it because it's an Aqua Tail. I also went for the Rock Slide just in case they decided to try and catch on like a Noctowl or something. They bring in Medicham and we go for the Earthquake immediately. And they no shield it. Even if they had shielded it, we would have been able to outpace to another Earthquake before they got to 2 Ice Punches, which is why I went for it. Also, I just wasn't expecting them to shield, but because they no shielded it, we can just farm them all the way down, come out with a bunch of energy. They tried to, I don't know, catch on their Dragonair, thinking I was going to throw immediately. So, yeah. I also throw the Earthquake there. There's just no reason to bait. Lantern in even shields against Bastion will just be able to win. So either I grab the shield or I put my Lantern at like even shields by grabbing the shield, and then we should just be able to win this. So no reason to bait in that situation, although it might have seemed very tempting. And also no reason to try and get to another Earthquake and like risk getting farmed down, and then the Bastion are gonna come out with a lot of energy. Go for the CMP tie for no real reason. Yeah, take out the Bastion. Very nice. Next game, we lead into another Noctowl. I've seen so many Noctowl lead. Lantern lead right now also looks legitimately good. They swap in the Stunfisk, and I swap in my Gliscor quite late. Gliscor does have a very dominant matchup against Stunfisk, but with 3 Mudshots advantage, Stunfisk can actually win the 2 shields against Gliscor if Gliscor doesn't bait. Like if it goes straight Earthquake. It only takes 3 Mudshots. So you want to be quite fast with your swap. If it only gets 2 Mudshots, you can win every even shield scenario straight Earthquake with Gliscor. They bring back in Noctowl. My initial plan was to throw this Night Slash and then see if I could swap out to my Dunsparce, but because I got the boost, I actually ended up throwing another Night Slash. I think I still should have probably swapped into Dunsparce. They already indicated by swapping out the lead that they don't want to see their Noctowl on my Dunsparce, so I'm thinking they're gonna swap out if I swap in my Dunsparce, and then I'm gonna be able to get my Lantern onto their Noctowl anyways. They throw their pup immediately here. So we can overfarm quite a lot, try to deceive the opponent. I always try to overfarm whenever I can. And I don't know if we actually did deceive them, or if they just decided to go for the farm down instead of throwing the pop, but we do get to another drill run, which is very nice. But now this Scrafty has quite a bit of energy. My plan is here, I want to wing attack them down into a range where I can spark this Scrafty down. Bringing a Lantern with no energy into a Scrafty that's ramped on, like, that has ramped up its attack and has a bunch of energy is quite kind of scary. But this is completely fine, because now I'm gonna be able to get a lot of energy on my Lantern. So when this Crafty comes back in, I'm just gonna be able to throw both of these serfs, and then it's pretty easy from there. I also shielded the Shadow Ball because the Shadow Ball does more damage than a Foul Play does from Scrafty. It does like 34% damage from a Shadow Ball, and 29% from a Scrafty for the Foul Play. So yeah, Next game, we lead into a Toxapex, and this is a lot more even than Dunsparce wants it to be. And they save swap a Dopwall. We don't really have a proper response to Dopwall. This is the best response, definitely. Um, Gliscor does win the 2 shields against Dopwall straight Night Slash if the Dopwall only gets 2 double kicks advantage. But it's very close. So I decided to go for the quote unquote bait. Like, it's not really, because I'm still going to be able to win it straight Night Slash. It takes 3 for every body slam, like all the time, and 4 for every wild charge, and 5 for every payback. But I thought in the moment that it might be 2 for the 4th body slam, because that's the case if it's running like Snarl or Bullet Seed or like a 13 energy move. But I forgot that the double kick is not actually like a Snarl clone. It's a bit worse. So I went for the Earthquake on CMP there, which was pretty unnecessary. But yeah, we still take it out and we keep alignment. And whenever you see a Toxapex in the back, there's a lot of people like to run either double Ghost or like double Dark or something. So it's often like an Obstagoon or a Scrafty in the back, which is why I brought my Dunsparce. You really want to keep alignment and bring a Dunsparce in on the Toxapex so that you can get Lantern onto Scrafty or Dunsparce. No, or Obstagoon. My play here is I don't want to take a counter on my Dunsparce, but I also don't want to give the Toxapex any energy. So I undercharge the Surf just a little bit so we can simultaneous KO. It was a bit risky, but it worked out very well. I do make some undercharges as well that don't work out that well. That way the Toxapex got no extra energy, which is very huge. Because otherwise the Toxapex would have farmed down my Lantern. So now, can we outpace the Toxapex? We get off our second drill run here. Can we get to the third one? We can. Oh, that was very close. I think Toxapex, just a good thing to be aware of. I'm just going to pause it to say this. Toxapex wins the 1s and 2 shields against Dunsparce if it baits. So that's just a good thing to be aware of. Because I'm seeing a lot of Toxapex right now. Next game, we lead into a Frostlass. This is also a good matchup for Dunsparce. Just because you get to those moves a little bit faster than like Frostlass and Noctowl and those types of Pokemon. Go for the Rock Slide after taking the first Avalanche. And I go for a Drill Run just in case they went for a catch. Yeah, they decide to shield. At this point, I decide to let my Dunsparce go because the Frostlass threw so early. It has like pretty much no energy, and then I bring in my Lantern. And I decide to no-shield this Shadow Ball because of the same reason as earlier. They have Frostlass in the lead. Lantern is a Pokemon you're always gonna team build around. So they have to have responses to Lantern in the back if they leave Frostlass. Which is why I'm thinking my Lantern is not gonna have a lot of play. I also swap out immediately here. A lot of people might have been tempted to go for a Surf before swapping. But an Earthquake is enough to take out, so I only want to spend 1 move on the Stunfisk. No reason to expend all the energy of my Lantern. I try to go for an undercharge, but yeah, fail it a little bit. Hit too many bubbles there. And then they bring in Swampert, Shadow Swampert. Go for the Hydro Cannon immediately. So it's 4 for the second one. Throw 2 more wing attacks, and then go for the bait. And I'm thinking, I'm gonna get to my Earthquake at the same time as they're gonna get to the Hydro Cannon, so I'm thinking they're gonna CMP tie me, which is why I try to catch it on my Lantern, but they don't throw it. But Lantern still has so much energy, because we get hold of it from earlier. It's just gonna be able to outpace the Swampert before it gets to an Earthquake. And we still have the Earthquake and Gliscor as well, and yeah, we take out the Frostlass as well. That's a good game. Next game we lead into another Toxapex, and they bring in a Sableye. And this is actually where I want to see it. A lot of people think, well, they swapped, now I need to swap. But I have 2 better responses to Toxapex in the back. And this is a very good matchup for Dunsparce. So I really don't need to swap. Also, I'm thinking it's probably like either double ghost or double dark or something like that. So it's either like a Trevenant or a Scrafty or an Obstagoon. So I really want to get my Lantern onto their Toxapex and then get my Gliscor onto their Toxapex or their Pokemon in the back. They did have the return there. I decided to no shield anyways, thinking they're not going to throw it. And then I allowed them to get to another foul play, which is not ideal. But go for another drill run. I try to go for an undercharge here as well because they're only at 2 Shadow Claws. And it was actually a pretty good undercharge. And then they bring in their Obstagoon. I go for the drill run because once you've hit the drill run, you put the Obstagoon into a range where Gliscor only has to throw Night Slashes. Whereas otherwise you would have to land the Earthquake and it's just a very risky bait game. Here I can just land 2 Night Slashes plus all the wing attacks and then take out the Obstagoon. Go for the first one. And they decide to no shield it. Throw one more wing attack. I wasn't aware who won CMP here, so I went for the second 9/1 before they got to their move. It is actually Gliscor. It is kinda close, so it can be flipped, but yeah, most of the time it is Gliscor. I didn't throw my Earthquake. I'm not sure why. I think I might have been afraid of the catch, and then I didn't really think quick enough. I also shielded the first move because you have to be an absolute madman to bait there, and unfortunately, I'm up against an absolute madman. You might be tempted to try and catch on Dunsparce here, but you really don't need to. As long as they don't catch, Lantern should be able to finish this game. So, like, trying to catch is only going to give the Toxapex more energy if you fail the catch, which could be a loose con. They tried to catch unsuccessfully, and now Lantern can take out the Toxapex. Very nice. Next game, we lead into an Alolan Ninetales with Powder Snow. Go for the Rock Slide. They're at 8 Powder Snows, so they're at back-to-back now. Back-to-back Weather Balls, that is. Take it pretty comfortably. And now it takes 5 for the first and 4 then 5, so I can do 2 more rollouts before throwing a move. And I go for the drill run just in case they try to catch on something again. They're not expecting the drill run, so it would make sense for them to try and catch on like a steel type or something. I shouldn't have done that rollout. If they bring in Medicham, you want to swap in immediately because you don't want Medicham to farm you down. You might think Gliscor is the better answer for Medicham, but if Medicham farms something down, like Dunsparce, and then comes out with like a lot of energy, it's not a very good matchup for Gliscor, so you want to swap out immediately when you're faced with the Medicham like that. I go for another Surf here because now I can get to a third one as well instead of going for the Thunderbolt, although the Thunderbolt might have been more threatening. They allow me to get to another one. They have a lot of energy, and they decide to let all their energy go, and then they farm me down with the Lantern. This is very awkward, because yes, according to the Sims, Gliscor definitely beats Lantern, but up a bit of energy, it's very awkward. You have to land 2 baits, which is why I go straight for the nuke. They have 2 shields. Boom! We take out the Lantern through 2 shields. Very nice. Next game, we lead into a Shadow Alolan Ninetales, also with Powder Snow. I faced a lot of these towards the end of the day today. Both with Powder Snow and Charm. Go for a Rock Slide. Same procedure. Dunsparce should be able to win all even shield scenarios here. So I just decided to let this go. And now again, we can go for 2 more rollouts. And they decide to try and catch. And again, same principle as earlier. They have Alolan Ninetales in the lead. It's weak to Lantern. They are not going to be weak to Lantern in the back. I'm thinking it might be a Trevenant. Or like something like that. So I bring in my Lantern. I save the Pokemon which is weak to their lead, instead of saving the Pokemon which is strong against their lead. That is generally how you want to play it in these scenarios. And what do they bring in? They bring in a Trevenant. Yikes. You could argue I maybe should have taken another foul play, both in this game and the one earlier, because I could have. and then left my Lantern with less health. So the Trevenant can't farm me down like this. But they actually do decide to go for a move, which is very nice. Bring in the Gliscor. I decide to shield this, thinking that I can just 2-shield my Gliscor and probably farm everything down. They bring in their Ninetales, and I decide to go for the catch and Dunsparce. Very nice, remembering how much energy they had earlier. And now we should be able to farm down this Ninetales. I think the right play here is to just try and farm down. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to 3 Night Slashes before they get to 2 Seed Bombs. They did actually get to 2 Seed Bombs, but if they threw one, the Wing Attack would have KO'd anyways. So that was very, very close. Next game, we lead into a Lantern. This is not as good as you might think. Go for 1 drill run. It's just 2 drill runs is just about not enough. They go for a Thunderbolt. If you're the Lantern in this situation, you definitely want to go Surf. 3 Surfs is enough to take out a Dunsparce. Lantern actually wins the 0 shields if it goes Surf, but 2 Thunderbolts is not enough. At least if you're up against someone like me with a very good IV Dunsparce. As you see, I let the second Thunderbolt go and we survive it. And now we can roll out the Lantern down, come out with a move for this Toxapex. And I decide to let my Dunsparce get farmed down. And here, you might think you want to bring in Lantern. But again, what do people have when they have a Lantern in the lead? What do they have in the back most of the time? It's a flyer. It's like something good against grass. It's like an ice type, maybe a fire type. Lantern is just going to be a lot better against whatever is in the back most of the time. Which is why I decided to bring in my Gliscor against the Toxapex and save my Lantern for whatever is in the back. I go straight for the Earthquake, and they shield it. I decide to let my Gliscor go here, because the Toxapex doesn't have a lot of energy. And I'm thinking Lantern is probably most of the time going to be able to handle everything. And it's a Ninetales in the back. They try to catch the Thunderbolt, realize that was her only win con, and they concede the match. Very nice win. Next game, we lead into a Charm Alolan Ninetales. Go up to right before they get to their move. Throw the Rock Slide. They shield it. And then they bring in a Medicham. And this is a quite comfortable matchup for Gliscor once you're up shield. I decide to let it go. This was probably a misplay. I've just been seeing like quite a few pop Medichams. And I was thinking because it's Charm Alolan Ninetales, they probably like fast move pressure. So I thought it might be a pop, but it wasn't. It was an Ice Punch. This is one of the reasons why I run regular Gliscor. You can lift an Ice Punch from Medicham and a Hydro Cannon from regular Swampert, which is very nice. I went for the bait, and now we're going to be able to get to the Earthquake. I tried to leave my Gliscor with as little health as possible, so that whatever comes in afterwards is going to get as little farm as possible, which is the Obstagoon. Go for the Night Slash. Go for a Surf. I wasn't sure if 2 Surfs would be enough to take out Obstagoon. I think it might be like with the Sparks, maybe, but it's probably Surf plus Thunderbolt I need to throw here. To go for another Night Slash, and they swap in their Alolan Ninetales. Go for a move. I think I'm gonna be able to win this with my Lantern. I decide to let the Weather Ball go, and then I get to a Rock Slide. I need to get to another one here. I do, but it's on a CMP. I decide to let it go, and then I go for 2 Sparks and Lantern, because that way I get in more energy, and I still only take 1 Charms worth of damage. So now I should be able to outpace the Obstagoon to a Thunderbolt before it gets to 2 Night Slashes, and I still have enough HP to get there. Very, very close game. Live on like what? 5 HP or something? Very close. That was the last battle for today, and overall I feel like this team was okay, but not great. Dunsparce was very good in the lead, and I think Lantern would also be very good in the lead right now for a team, according to what I'm seeing in GPL. But I feel like Gliscor might not be as good as I want it to be, and maybe Lantern in the back is not the right way to go. I might try a different Dunsparce team one of these days. Other than that, Fun fact of the day, despite the fact that these are generally good matchups for Dunsparce, it does lose to Spark Lantern that goes straight serve and Trevenant in the zero shields, so just a good thing to be aware of. If you like what you see, or you feel like you learned something, like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time.